Today I want to share my years of experience and give you the 7 best general tips that really improve your gameplay. We'll go over how you can farm the most amount of gold, win your lane even if the enemy is stronger than you, and how to make more kills by playing smarter. I'm very confident this information increases your win rate, so let's start right away. The first tip I want to give you is about farming, and you need to do the following 3 things in the right order. Firstly, unless you're the jungler, your top priority should be the minions, which is your main source of gold, especially during early game. You want to be there when the minions arrive every single wave, because it adds at least 200 gold, which is more than making a kill. Instead of clearing the wave as quick as possible, you want to assure to do the last hit, otherwise you only get 80% of the gold. So remember this very well when you're trying to make a kill, get killed yourself, or have to recall. Missing a wave of minions sets you back at least 200 gold, while not finishing them means that you lost 40 gold. After killing the minions, you have like 30 seconds before the next ones arrive, and the second priority right now is the shield of the turret, especially when you're at top or bottom lane. That's because those lanes are less likely to be ganked compared to the mid lane. You can get more than 350 gold, so try to get the most of it as possible, since the opportunity only lasts 5 minutes. When there are no minions and you can't get the gold from the turrets, your third priority are the jungle monsters, based on your hero and the current situation. If your hero can't kill a monster quickly, which is the case for a lot of mage heroes, you should skip this. But for most other heroes, this is another opportunity to get even more gold. Don't steal the monsters from your jungler, but if he's at the other side of the map, you can use these monsters to get a bit of extra gold during the time you wait for the minions. But please return on time to make sure you can take out all 3 minions, because this is your main priority. It's very important you don't get killed or have to recall, since you now know what amount of gold you miss when you're not around. Do this for like 10 to 50 waves and you'll set yourself very well in terms of gold during early game. The next step is going to make sure you got the upper hand during the lane phase, so pay close attention. The second tip is about increasing the odds of being the dominant hero. Of course, we all have our main heroes, which we play most often and like the most. But these aren't always the best choice if you analyze the enemy heroes. That's because you want to pick a hero to counter the enemy, and you can do this on 2 levels. The first level is the most easy, and that's by choosing a hero based on the enemy's pick of your lane. You want to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of that hero to determine which kind of hero you should pick that would have the highest chance of winning your lane. So maybe you need a hero with a dash skill to escape an attack, or you might need some CC to counter a combo, or perhaps a hero with some long range attacks to keep a safe distance of your opponent. You really want to go over all heroes you can play at that lane and honestly think about if their playstyle makes sense to counter that hero. By doing this correctly, you can have a great advantage before the match even starts, which really helps to win your lane and make sure you lose as less valuable farming time as possible. The second level you can counter heroes is on a more broad way by analyzing all enemy heroes and base your choice of death. The advantage of this is that you'll be in a stronger position during late game. So let's say, for example, that the enemy team has mainly heroes who deal a lot of small amounts of damage, like Chang'e, Kimi and Ruby, then Basha might be a great choice, since his passive reduces the final amount of any damage by a fixed amount. Or maybe the enemy choose heroes that use a lot of blink skills, like 1-1, Lancelot and Cho. Then you might want to pick a hero that counters this, like Kufra or Mincetar. This can really increase your chance of winning if you do this correctly. But it's important you know exactly how a hero works and learn to play a lot of different heroes. Believe me, this might be the real fix for you to rank up faster. If you think these tips are useful, you can show support by simply giving a hit on the like button. Tip number 3 is to be unpredictable, and I mean this in like everything you do during a match. So it starts by not showing any pattern in your playstyle. For example, if you're every time killing the minions by cutting the lane, or you always hide in a bush to release your combo, a smart enemy will notice this and act accordingly to counter it. Just don't do the same thing over and over. You can also use situations like this, where you'll be killing minions while there are no enemy around, and while doing this, you walk towards the opposite location you want to go. On the minimap, it looks like you go this way, but right after the last minion is killed, the enemy's vision of the minimap disappears, and you can move to the real direction you want to go, to set the enemies off in a wrong direction. Being unpredictable also means that you almost never stand still. You want to keep moving to make it harder for the enemy to aim their skills. Do this in an unpredictable way by going left for 2 seconds and maybe to the back for 1 second and then maybe more to the left for the next second. So there's also no pattern in your movement where an enemy might take advantage of. It's really an easy fix to decrease the times you get hit by an enemy. The fourth tip took me a while to learn, but this one really increased my win rate since I almost always play solo rank. Never trust your allies. You need to understand that your allies aren't your friends, and there's a big difference between those two. When playing with friends, you can count on them and be quite sure they got your back, but this is very different when playing with random allies. With allies, this just isn't the case, and the faster you learn not to die for them, the better your gameplay will be. It happens so often. I try to sacrifice myself to save the marksman, or put me in a position I really had to count on an ally, and almost always that ally achieves to ruin it. You have to get a mindset that every ally you play with sucks and you can't count on them. Believe me, this really helps to not get disappointed anymore or get frustrated when you were counting on an ally. I know there are also good and trustworthy random allies, but in most situations they just suck and are better off treating all of them this way. The next tip is about increasing your efficiency, and here I see a lot of mistakes made by junglers and non-junglers. So the more efficient you play, the more gold and XP you obtain and the stronger you get compared to the enemy. When jungling or just killing jungle monsters, you want to do this as quick as possible so you can move on to the next one right away. There are a few tricks, and the first and most easy one is to just walk a bit towards the next jungle monster without resetting it. By doing this you can save a little bit of time every monster you kill, which really adds up in the long run. The second tip is killing the red buff and lava golem together, especially if your hero deals high area of effect damage. Just hit the golem, walk towards the red buff and stand in the middle to deal damage to both of them, and clear them quicker than you should have when you killed them individually. The last trick is purely for junglers, which is taking account for the true damage poison you get when you're jungling. While dealing damage when you have retribution, you deal 2 times some true damage, which acts like a poison, and you can use this so you don't have to completely kill the jungle monster. Just make sure you time it right, let the poison kill the jungle monster, and you can save yourself 1 or 2 attacks, which mean you can move quicker to the next monster. Tip number 6 is maybe the most important one, and it's to use your minimap on the right way. And I want you to follow just 3 things. So I hopefully don't have to tell you the game plays right here, and your main screen only shows a small part of what's really happening during the match. By not checking your minimap, you will basically only see this. The first thing is that you want to make it a habit to check the minimap every 3 seconds. This way you have at all time a clear overview of what's happening where. The second one is that you need to follow where the jungler is at any time. The jungler is often in the jungle where you don't see him. By tracking his movement, you should have an idea where the jungler is located to not get surprised by a gank. This is an easy fix to decrease the amounts of getting killed. So the third and last thing about the minimap you need to do correctly is to inform your allies about things they might not know. So for example, if they haven't seen this video and watch the minimap every 3 seconds, they might not notice that an enemy at your lane is walking towards them. So just tell an enemy is missing. Another useful way is to tell your ultimate is ready when ganking, which lets your ally anticipate on the gank to increase the chance of making a kill. Just make wise use of your minimap, because it really gives you valuable information, which helps to make the best decisions during the match. The last tip is about the chat function, and there are 3 things I really want you to follow to get the best out of it. Firstly, always be nice to other players. It really doesn't help when you're rude to a player who's feeding. He probably already feels shitty about it, and it just works negatively if you start a verbal fight and get him down even more. Secondly, you should almost never use the chat when you're alive. Typing means you can't play for a few seconds, and inactivity will 100% affect your match performance negatively. If you want to communicate on this way to your allies, just only do it when you're killed. The third thing is that you need to ignore allies who say things about you. Don't start to type things back, just ignore the enemy. By reacting to an insult, you satisfy him and he will continue, which means he probably hides in a bush to stay inactive. Another option is to just block all communication from the player and continue the match. So there you have it. These 7 tips will greatly improve your gameplay. Let me know which one is your favorite and should be known by every player. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you again in the next guide.